Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. Of course, I am in the middle of my Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie reviews. Of course, I've reviewed all of them at this point. This is the final one for me to review until whatever comes out in the future post Netflix 2022 movie. This movie here is called Leatherface. I don't actually own it, which I needed to buy it. I just didn't get around to it for whatever reason. I wished I had it for the ranking video I plan on recording either tonight or sometime this weekend, but I don't have it. Probably won't be able to find a copy in time. Maybe, maybe not. There's like one location of a store that I think I could find it for maybe $6 or $7, and frankly, I'd pay that or a full 20 for it. Because I like this movie. It's called Leatherface. It came out in 2017, straight to video, as far as I remember. I think it was if I remember correctly, a Sci-Fi Channel movie original, something like that, I believe is what happened. And I didn't see it there. I think it released there or on a streaming service or a USA Network or something like that back in the day. It is not the same Leatherface as the 1990 movie here, which this was fine, but I think I like the 2017 film more. Just a little bit of a history with me, just in case this happens to be the first review you've seen of mine. I am not a big Leatherface guy. There are certain movies that I like. There are certain times that he looks cool in those movies. Most of the time, I think it sucks ass, but this time around, the 2017 prequel, which mind you, this is the second prequel at this current moment in 2023 that we have had in this series. And if you didn't have it as a prequel, you could almost fit it into the remake and prequel to the remake from 2006 called The Beginning. You could almost fit it into that timeline, but not so much. There are some things that kind of don't line up and some that do, but whatever. This is like a standalone. It's not even really connected to the original film all that much. I mean, you could argue that it is, but it kind of debatably is not. This is actually directed and written, I assume, by the way, by the guys who did The Deep House, which is kind of a well-known, kind of straight-to-streaming type of movie that a lot of people seem to enjoy. My boy Jason from Sinister Cinema Reviews really likes that flick. I saw his review for the first time like a month ago, and I just never got around to watching it. Anyway, Leatherface from 2017, there is a lot of good in here. And to the point that I think that it's kind of unfair how much people hate this movie. And I don't really know why I feel that way, but I do feel that way. The biggest thing for me was the fact that so many good elements from the Leatherface series are in here. But overall, at the end of the day, I don't really know if I agree that it should even be called Leatherface, or that it should be called a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Frankly, I think it should have just been called Jed, or Sawyer, or something like that. It would have gotten way less attention, but I think it would have made more sense for the kind of movie we got here. Leatherface, the 2017 film, like I said, is a prequel. This is 4 years after Texas Chainsaw, or Texas Chainsaw 3D from 2013, which was a fucking mess. I think all of us kind of just agree on that, whether you're a fan of that film or not. I think all of us are kind of in the same park, that it's a little bit of a mess. Now, in the 2017 movie here, again, I have some positive feelings about. The biggest thing I have to tell you, though, sort of kinda, I saw this one other time before this review, and that was roughly 3 years ago, I believe. So right at like 2020. I think it was COVID and everything. There was the lockdowns. I wasn't locked down. I still had to work, but I think I rented it or something, and I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I like it just as much this time as I did the first time I saw it. But that first viewing, I went into it knowing the massive plot twist in this film that I will not spoil for you, but just know there's a big doozy in here that a lot of people hate. A lot of people, and understandably so, hate that twist. And I understand what these directors were trying to do something a little bit different, a little bit something kind of surprising. And I don't really like the twist. I don't really think it was even necessary. It was a nice little note, asterisk, whatever. But it really didn't make this movie better, if you will. I was actually into everything else in the movie. I thought everything else was kind of, for the most part, interesting. For the most part, just kind of fun to watch. Where do I even start with Leatherface from 2017? Well, going into it knowing those plot twists, even if you have already found out those plot twists, I still recommend the movie, because I think that it has something to kind of offer anybody. Whether you're a Leatherface or Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan or not, I think it has some things that might appeal to you. Maybe, maybe not, I don't really know. It kind of depends on what you like. Let me really pitch this movie like this. It is an origin story for Leatherface. It's not really, though. It's kind of that a little bit, but it's like him in his teenhood. But it's not like the Leatherface you and I know, like wearing a mask of human skin from another human. It's nothing like that. It's like he is a teenager, right? And again, I won't spoil anything for people who think I'm dancing in that territory. I promise you I'm not. So, basically we open up the film with a birthday party. And Jed is a small boy, like 7, 8 years old, and he's having a birthday cake. And you can imagine what this cake is like. It is a bunch of meat stacked together with fucking icing all over it. Do you know how much that makes me sick? Just the idea of somebody taking like a ribeye and putting like a glazed donut icing over top of it, like that kind of glaze. Do you know how disgusted that makes me? Even every time I see this movie, how disgusted that makes me feel. Anyway, at this birthday party for Jed, he is supposed to kill a guy who was messing with their local farm pigs, or their own pigs in their own land, on their farm, whatever, in the Sawyer family. His family wants him to kill the guy with a chainsaw, and Jed just can't do it. He's being promoted by his family to do it. He can't do it. He just doesn't do it. So they kill the guy anyway, in front of Jed. And eventually, Stephen Dorff has Deacon Frost from Blade is in this as the kind of sheriff guy. I think he's the sheriff, or a deputy. I think he's the sheriff, though. Anyway, he is a great actor. I was surprised to see him in here. I love Blade. I think he's amazing as Deacon Frost in that film. Very fun to watch. Really good actor. Kind of surprised he made it into this. He's kind of been blacklisted from Hollywood, so it's kind of sad because the guy's great. Really, really talented guy that I'd watch over most of Hollywood, as a matter of fact. But he's in here. And he's kind of playing like a sheriff who had his daughter killed, and probably by the Sawyers. And he's kind of got like a revenge story arc. Just a little bit. Just a tad bit. And he takes Jed away from the farm after a couple of things start to happen, so possibly surrounding this farm and the Sawyer family. He takes Jed away. Jed gets locked up into an asylum. And, by the way, this film takes place in like the 1950s, just so you know. So pre the original film, which came out in '74. We kind of go to the asylum, but no one in the character base are called Jed. And we assume it's probably this one kid. I think his nickname like Bub or Bubba or something like that. Buddha. I don't know. The guy is like a big guy. He's probably a little slow. Seems like a nice character overall, but does bad things. And he has a best friend named Jackson. They have this very of mice and men relationship, if you know what I mean. And Jackson has the goofiest haircut I've ever seen in my life. It's almost like mine, but it's like more like Mo Howard around the top, but it's like shaved higher. It's really weird. But the guy, Jackson, has a thing for this nurse that's a newer nurse working at this asylum. And the three of them get caught up with two complete psychopaths that kind of have like a fling going on in the midst of this breakout in the asylum. Yeah, that's something you probably didn't expect if you haven't seen the film. It kind of evolves from kind of a slower film that doesn't really have much going on in it. Once the Stephen Dorff situation is kind of put off to the side for most of the movie, it turns into a breakout movie, like a jail breakout film. They break out of the jail, or the asylum, whatever, and it kind of turns into like a road trip movie involving a group of psychopaths. And some of them, mainly Jackson, the guy that we assume is Leatherface, that doesn't have the name Jed for some reason, and the nurse who's being held captive, they're kind of trying to not kill anybody, after they already have. But Stephen Dorff finds out about these guys getting out, and he decides to tell his men, hey, I want you to kill any of them. I don't care who it is, shoot for lethal force. Take it out on them, I don't care. If they don't even attack you, if they come out with their hands up, I want them dead. That's basically what he says. And that's kind of the kind of movie we're dealing with. The kind of runaways, group of teenagers type of thing. Some of them are complete wackos, some of them are not. It's interesting. It's an interesting movie. It doesn't really have a whole lot going for character stuff outside of Stephen Dorff, in my personal opinion. I think he's great. Everybody else tries to give a good performance. The two psychos really give a solid performance, mainly the girl. I don't know who she is. She's great in this movie. She's really, really good. The Leatherface thing on the title of the film is kind of some bullshit. You really don't know what the film is about when it's supposed to be about Leatherface until you see the end of the film, and then you get your twists and stuff that I think really kind of suck. A lot of this film also has a subplot about the Sawyer family, mainly the mom of the Sawyers, who we saw a lot of in the remake and the 2006 prequel to the remake. The first prequel, as we should call it. And I think a lot of the stuff in here references those films, references a lot of previous stuff in the previous movies, some of the kills and whatever. I thought that was kind of nice. I thought it was kind of quaint, frankly. After doing a marathon of these movies, it's kind of nice. Kind of liked it. It's not a great film, and again, it shouldn't be called Leatherface, it shouldn't be called a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, it should have just been called Jed. It has that feel like a country bumpkin movie, about a bunch of psychopaths breaking out of an asylum, going away. It should have had nothing to do with Leatherface, and I think it would have saved the movie a little bit more. For me, it's not like an amazing flick. I don't want to oversell you on this thing and then disappoint you. I think that you should just go into it knowing this is a solid movie, and I think it got unfairly trashed in a series filled with complete shit as sequels, almost always. Almost always. Not always, but most of the time. Especially following up after Texas Chainsaw 3D, I don't see how the hell people hate this movie more than something like 3D or Part 2 or Part 3 even, which again, I liked 3. I thought it was a watchable film. This is better, in my opinion. In my personal taste, I like Leatherface 2017 more than Leatherface 1990. This is a good flick, and I will buy it for my collection, like I said. Moving along, though, to some of the other things, again, the writing wasn't strong, but the performances are really good. Stephen Dorff, that one crazy chick, the crazy guy, I think all of them are solid. I think the casting is a little wish-washy on some of the others, like Jackson, like the bigger guy. That might be Leatherface, might not be, we don't really know. They're okay. The nurse girl that's being held captive is pretty good, too. The deputies and stuff, they're good. The Sawyer mom is good. There's one guy that reminds me of Bill Moseley, but it's not him. He's good, I guess, for the few moments, excuse me, that he's in the movie. Let's talk about the look of the film. Cinematography, the direction, all of that stuff for a straight to video, excuse me, I keep trying to say straight to film, I don't know why. For a straight to DVD, whatever release, for a Leatherface movie, the shots in this film, the utilization of Texas, the directing and all of that, it's really, really good. I'm very surprised people don't talk about that more with this film. To me, it's one of the most beautifully shot movies in the entire franchise. Again, filled with shit. There's so many movies that are poorly shot in the series, are not completely competently shot for the kind of budget they had. This looks really good for the kind of budget it had. I think it's very impressive for a straight-to-video film. That's just me, though. It's kind of one of those things, the more that modern-day film has gone on, the more that lower budgets for movies have better equipment to use because of how easy it's become to have better equipment, like with your phone having a great camera and everything on it. It seems like it's more possible now to have a low budget and make a really good movie. The odds are with you. You know what I mean? That kind of seems the case here. It's very beautifully shot. I really like the locations and stuff. For kind of a road trip movie, they utilize that well. Now, this is the thing. There's a big issue that I have with Texas Chainsaw 3D. The biggest issue I had with that movie was the fact that you had some really good practical effects, and you had a bunch of shitty CGI blood, mainly at the ending of that movie. This has a lot of similarities with that, but the CGI blood, when it's there, the very few times, like the 5% of the movie that it's actually there, there's a lot of killing in the film, by the way, too. Not so much with chainsaws, but you know what I mean. The 5% of kills in this film, or CGI blood, whatever, they don't look half bad. I actually think they look better than most Hollywood films, like Evil Dead Rise. I keep trashing that all the time. That's a great example to use here, in comparison. But on the other hand, most of Leatherface 2017 has practical effects, and they, when you get to see the kills, because a lot of the time it will cut away from that, when you get to see the physical kills, the gore looks fantastic. The effects look really good for the practical effects. I was very impressed this time around. I was impressed the first time I saw it, but the more I do these marathons for the channel, I try to take out time to really think about what am I seeing when I'm watching something in a marathon, like a big stretch of a bunch of these movies. This was super impressive to me. I thought it had a lot to offer when it came to that. It's beautifully shot overall, and then having the really good practical effects most of the time, very impressive. Very, very impressive to me. Maybe not to most people, but to me, I think it's a great example of why this film was not a complete loss. It's a very watchable flick. Even if it doesn't have the best character stuff, which it should have utilized that more, but the practical effects can get you through this, because again, there's a lot of killing and a lot of violence in the movie, you know? Anyway, moving along to the final category on my list, for my little checklist of things to look at underneath my camera, it's what I'm looking down for, is the music. The music is kind of folk-tuny, you know, like a little bit like a country bluegrass type of thing, but not like bluegrass, like full-on banjo, but like just a little bit there, just a little West Virginia, you know what I mean? And it's not bad. It's kind of forgettable, but it's not really anything worth talking about, but it's not bad. It fits, you know? I try to mention that when I talk about a movie, because I think it's worthwhile a lot of the time. Anyway, when it comes to Leatherface 2017, I'm very surprised that this is as poorly received as it is. It's not a great movie, but it's good when it comes to most of the series, and I think it's overall fairly watchable for kind of a a road trip movie type of thing, an Escape the Asylum and a road trip movie in one big bundle. This is a solid flick. Not amazing, but it's solid. I recommend it if you like that kind of thing. Either of those categories. Mixed together, it's a good flick for an hour and a half to get your mind off things. Now, if I had to rate it, though, I would probably still give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. If it had more character stuff in here, if we'd gotten rid of the practical effects and had more character stuff in here, I think it would have really succeeded at what it was trying to do. But certain friendships in the movie don't really work for me. They don't come across as compelling to me, or as well done as they could have been. But most of the film, like a good 65% of the movie, really lands for me. I think it's really good. I think that people unfairly, basically, tore apart this movie, and I really don't think it's fair. I think a lot of it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans, which, no dashing at you guys. I'm just saying, this is fine. This is a solid flick. It's something to watch. It has a very watchable feel to it. I don't understand the hate for the movie, and it's been out for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's been out for 6 years. Good God. 6 years this movie's been around, and I've heard nothing but bad from pretty much everybody I've ever talked to about the movie with. I don't get it. It's a solid flick. Please stop bashing this thing. It's even better than the 2022 Netflix movie, which is also a mess. That film reminds me so much of Texas Chainsaw 3D in so many issues and so many ways that it's such a disappointment. Again, 3 out of 5 stars for Leatherface 2017. I think it's good. I think it's a good flick, and I won't stand down from that, basically. This is good. I can't believe people hate it. If you guys haven't seen the movie, I recommend it. I think it's worth your time. If you want something different to watch, I think it's totally 1000% something you should try. Now, this is the thing. In case many of you don't know, I might have mentioned this in this recording, I don't think I have. I've already reviewed the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre Netflix movie. It's on my channel. It's a review from a year ago. I think I watched it during the summer. I don't know. I was not impressed. I don't plan on rewatching that for this marathon. I do not want to see it again. It's really rough. It's got its moments, but it's really rough for the most part. It's very fucking political. I think that's stupid too. Very SJW political, which is a very poor choice, you know? So, the movie for me, I don't want to see it again. I've already got my idea. Generally where my ranking list is on my phone right now, where I would place that amongst everything else that I'm talking about right now. So you won't see a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 review, but just want to give you a heads up about that in case you didn't know. I will be ranking them in the next couple of days. I don't know if I want to record that tonight. I kind of just want to relax, play some Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit, and that's about it for my Friday night, Saturday morning. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you had a good time. And let me know down in the comment section below whether you like Leatherface 2017 or not, because I think it's the most recently good movie that we've gotten from the series. I think it's one of the most solid sequels, even though it's a prequel, in this series, because of how many bad eggs we have gotten over and over again with this. I don't understand where people are coming from when they defend shit like Texas Chainsaw 3D. But they hate on this, or they hate on Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. It's really unfair, I think, personally, because both of those films have a lot more to offer than something like 3D. Anyway, with that being said, Leatherface 2017, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate you. God bless you guys. What would you rate the film? Put it down in the comment section down below. Anyway, thank you all. God bless you. Goodbye.